Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dalsan TV English News. I'm your presenter, Ifrah Noor, and these are the top stories and media headlines for the day. Somalia mourns the death of Gorgor Commander Major General Abdi Sulnuge, killed in the front line in Mudug region. Somalia's president nullifies Ethiopia-Somaliland pact with new law. Large demos rock Borama and Lugaya towns as residents protest against Ethiopia-Somaliland port deal. Somaliland Puntland State Electoral Body unveils names of presidential election contesting for Monday's poll. And finally, Sodma sends humanitarian relief aid to flood victims in Jubaland State. Welcome back, dear viewers. Now let's delve into the full bulletin. Somalia is in mourning as it grieves the loss of Major General Abdi Sulnuge, commander of the Turkish-trained elite Gorgor forces. Major General Sulnuge was killed during a military operation against Al-Shabaab in the Mudug region. Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre has conveyed his deepest condolences to the family, friends and relatives, as well as the Somali people, praising Major General Sulnuge, who he said was a brave soldier who sacrificed for his nation. Our reporter has more on the story.
Somali Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre has conveyed his deepest and profound condolences to the family, friends, relatives and the Somali people on the death of Major Abdi Mohammed Sulnuge, commander of the Turkish-trained elite Gorgor, who was killed in Mudug region on Saturday in a military operation against Al-Shabaab. Prime Minister Barre described the late commander as a brave and courageous soldier who paid the ultimate price to die for his nation. He prayed to Allah to grant him Jannatul Firdaus and the fortitude to his family to bear the loss of their patriotic son. Somalia's Defense Ministry in a statement also sent their condolences to the family, the Somali people and the entire Somali National Army, especially the Gorgor Brigade, on the untimely demise of General Sulnuge. Sulnuge succumbed to injuries sustained from heavy onslaught between Al-Shabaab and the military in Ad town, where the army finally successfully captured the area. The commander has recently been leading the 18th Battalion of the Gorgor Commandos for heightened military activities in central Somalia. His death leaves a big blow to his brigade, where he earnestly led with dedication and determination in efforts aimed at getting rid of Al-Shabaab from the country. The Somali military has since June of last year intensified offensives against the Islamist group, which have led to the capture of several cities.
President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud has signed a new law that overturns an agreement between Ethiopia and Somaliland. The law, which received approval from both houses of Somalia's federal parliament, effectively nullifies the pact. The agreement was seen as contrary to Somalia's interests and territorial integrity. The signing ceremony, standard by the heads of both parliamentary chambers, marks a significant step in protecting Somalia's national interest. A reporter has more on the story.
President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud of Somalia has signed a law to overturn an agreement between Ethiopia and Somaliland, following approval from both houses of Somalia Federal Parliament. The signing ceremony, attended by the heads of both parliamentary chambers, effectively nullifies a deal that was seen as contrary to Somalia's interest and territorial integrity. The law's enactment comes after an emergency parliamentary session during which both legislative houses declared this Ethiopia-Somaliland agreement invalid. Lawmakers argued that the agreement violated international norms and undermined Somalia's sovereignty. The maritime agreement, a memorandum of understanding signed last Monday by Somaliland's President Muse Bihi and Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, outlined a potential framework for a future pact between Addis Ababa and Hargeisa. Although the specific details of the memorandum remained undisclosed and contested, officials indicated that Somaliland would grant Ethiopia access to the Gulf of Aden through a naval base in exchange for shares in Ethiopian Airlines and Ethiopian recognition of Somaliland's independence from Somalia. In an interview with Ethiopia's state broadcaster, EBC, Redwan Hussein, a security advisor to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, revealed that Ethiopia would be granted a 20-kilometer stretch of land along Somaliland's Gulf of Aden coast for a minimum of 50 years. In return, Ethiopia would provide Somaliland with an equivalent value of shares in Ethiopian Airlines. However, Ethiopian officials have expressed mixed messages regarding the deal, particularly regarding the issue of recognition of Somaliland. The recent communique from Addis Ababa stating that an in-depth assessment would be conducted before taking a stance on the matter President Mahmoud commended the parliament's role in preserving Somali heritage and independence, stating that the legislation reflects Somalia's official stance against territorial encroachment. In a post on X, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud emphasized Somalia's commitment to safeguarding unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity in accordance with international law. He also emphasized the need to distinguish between negotiable political matters and existential national issues. The agreement between Ethiopia and Somaliland has faced significant international condemnation and has been described by Somalia as an act of aggression. In response, Mogadishu has recalled its ambassador from Addis Ababa despite Somalia's protests.
Borama and Lugaya towns witnessed large-scale demonstrations as residents took to the street to protest against controversial port deal between Ethiopia and Somaliland. The agreement signed on January 1, 2024 in Addis Ababa has sparked outrage among residents who view it as unlawful and unenforceable. The demonstrations reflect the community's strong opposition to the agreement and their concerns about its potential consequences.
Residents of Borama town, the capital of Odal, on Sunday took to the streets to protest against the controversial Memorandum of Understanding signed between Ethiopia and the breakaway region of Somaliland in Addis Ababa on Monday, the 1st of January 2024. Irate residents who spoke to the media termed the agreement unlawful and unenforceable. The residents vehemently dismissed the port deal, saying our sea is not for sale. In a similar development, angry youth of the Lughaya district, Odal region, where Ethiopia wants to build a maritime naval base, have come out to vehemently oppose the deal. The youth said they will not allow foreigners to alienate their ancestral land from them, and they vow to take arms against anyone who tries to annex their land. Somaliland Minister of Commerce, Mohammed Hassan Sajin, recently said that Ethiopia is only interested in taking away land from Somaliland but not investing in a seaport. He added that the agreement the Ethiopian government reached with Somaliland is a decoy by the former to dupe Somalis and extend their borders. Large demonstrations in areas under the Somaliland administration have been reported in the last few days, with residents expressing disappointment with the incumbency of Musa Bihi Abdi, whom they accused of high-handedness and incompetency. The federal government of Somalia has termed the MOU between Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Musa Bihi null and void and unworkable. President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud on Saturday evening signed a law that nullified and annulled the condemned agreement between the two parties. The international community has also weighed in and called for respect to Somalia's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
The Puntland State Electoral Commission has announced the names of the candidates running for the presidency in Monday's election. A total of 11 candidates are competing for the position, along with 11 others vying for the vice president post. According to the Electoral Commission, the candidates will have the opportunity to deliver campaign speeches before the regional parliament on Sunday. The unveiling of the candidates marks an important milestone in Puntland's democratic process.
Puntland State Electoral Commission has on Saturday published names of 11 candidates vying for the presidency and 11 others contending for the vice president post. According to a statement from the body, the candidates are scheduled to deliver campaign speeches before the regional parliament on Sunday. The regional state is expected to convene for elections on Monday 8th, when the term of the current government is slated to lapse. 65 lawmakers who were appointed by clan elders will choose the next president. The electoral process of the regional state has faced challenges and setbacks after disagreement emerged over the mode of election, with President Deni insisting to introduce universal suffrage elections and opposition candidates onto indirect elections. The regional state has recently had frosty relations with the federal government after it announced itself as an independent autonomous region. All eyes are now on the MPs as they cast their votes to choose the next leader for the semi-autonomous, oil-rich federal member state.
And finally, dear viewers, the Somali National Disaster Management Agency, SODMA, has dispatched essential relief assistance to Jubaland State to aid the victims of devastating floods in a compassionate effort to alleviate the suffering of affected families. SODMA's senior management officials oversaw the transportation of humanitarian supplies from Mogadishu port to the federal member states. This initiative demonstrates Somalia's commitment to supporting its citizens during times of crisis and highlights the importance of solidarity and assistance.
Somalia National Disaster Management Agency SODMA has on Saturday dispatched essential relief assistance to Jubaland state in efforts aimed at elevating the suffering of the families in the regional state. SODMA senior management officials sent a boat carrying the relief humanitarian supplies from Mogadishu port to the federal member states. The National Disaster Management Agency said that the aid will be distributed to thousands of people who have been severely impacted by the El Nino-induced floods living in Jubaland state. In mid-December last year, the agency delivered boats carrying humanitarian supplies donated by the Russian government to the regional state. Jubaland is among regions adversely affected by the torrential rains that have displaced thousands of people, disrupted livelihoods, and destroyed critical infrastructure in the regional state and even across the country. This comes a day after the agency distributed aid to vulnerable population in Jazira area in Lower Shabelle region. The agency has in recent weeks heightened activities and initiatives geared towards bolstering relief assistance for food-ravaged victims across the country.
That's all, dear viewers, and we wish you a lovely night.